Hi, I'm Ralph Miranda.
And I'm Gayle Greene.
And we're standing here before the Blount County Sports Hall of Fame exhibit at the Blount County Public Library. Hey, did you know that the Blount County Sports Hall of Fame has been in existence since 1997? And tonight, they'll have their induction dinner for the class of 2003.
I am excited. It's going to be a special evening. We're going to try to talk to as many of the inductees as we can, and maybe even some of their family and friends.
I think it should be a great evening, and you'll want to join us right here on Charter Main Street, Channel 28. Hey, when we come back, we'll see you at the dinner.
Because his name begins with an A, is Dick Adams, a player, a teacher, principal, a coach, and a broadcaster.
Dick Abbott played basketball at Maryville High School and in the Air Force's 27th Fighter Squadron. Following discharge and working in the California oil fields, Abbott enrolled at Maryville College, where he lettered 4 years in basketball and scored 1,065 points. He was Maryville's 1954 captain, and in 1996 was named to the Maryville College Sports Wall of Fame. Abbott's first coaching job was at Greenback High, where he quickly built a boys' powerhouse. Moving to Alcoa in 1957, Abbott assisted Coach Vernon Osborne in basketball, and the Tornadoes won 2 state championships. Abbott also coached the Alcoa High golf team. In 1971, Abbott became the first principal of the new Alcoa Elementary School. In 1986, Dick Abbott began yet a third career, this time as a television sports commentator on Alcoa's educational Channel 3. He and his crew were there in 1989 when Alcoa won a state football title. Still later, Abbott began hosting Profiles of Blount County, a program on people who have contributed to the progress of Blount County. Along the way, Abbott developed a passion for golf. He made 5 career holes in one and played the old course at St. Andrews, Scotland. But his biggest thrill was shooting a course record 60 at Wallace Hills, including a hole-in-one. Dick Abbott, a deserving member of the Blount County Sports Hall of Fame.
Our next honoree is James A. Blair. He has represented Blount County sports around the world.
James A. Blair, in the truest sense, was a scholar athlete at Alcoa's Hall High School in the early 1950s. A running back, defensive back, and kick returner, Blair was co-captain of the Hall football team in 1951 and 1952. In basketball, Blair was the 1951-52 team captain, and he was the equivalent of today's point guard. He ran the offense and led Hall High to runner-up in the state tournament. In the classroom, Blair was an honor student. He finished 3rd in his class. At age 16, Blair received a 4-year basketball scholarship to Florida A&M University and made the travel squad his first year. Blair pledged a fraternity, Kappa Alpha Psi. He graduated with honors and was commissioned a 2nd lieutenant through the ROTC. Later, he earned a master's degree. At Fort Benning, Blair and Syracuse and Cleveland Browns great Jim Brown played a little one-on-one basketball. During a tour of duty in Germany, James Blair played 2 years of basketball and 3 years of football for the Berlin Bears. Blair completed 2 tours of duty in Vietnam, where he was promoted to lieutenant colonel. After Vietnam, Blair was assigned to Hawaii, where he coached youth league track and field and basketball. In addition to basketball, Blair's athletic skills also included paddleball, horseshoes, bowling, racquetball, and tennis. When arthritis came calling, Blair settled back to play board games with his wife and grandchildren. James A. Blair, a deserving member of the Blount County Sports Hall of Fame. Bob Hutzel was an all-county guard and blocking trophy winner and team captain at Everett High School. He also wrestled. At Maryville College, Hutzel quickly proved himself on the gridiron and became a starter. He played 4 years of varsity football, and he was on the wrestling team. Bob Hutzel began his coaching career at Porter Elementary and Porter Junior High and built boys and girls championship teams at both schools. Hutzel's Porter High football teams won 4 conference titles and had 3 10-win seasons, also 5 1-loss seasons, and won 3 bowl games. In 1971, Hutzel was named Blount County's Football Coach of the Year. When Porter, Everett, Walland, and Townsend high schools were consolidated into Heritage High, Hutzel became the Heritage Athletics Director and the football assistant. After 34 years in education, Hutzel retired in 1991 and was honored at a reception. In retirement, Hutzel knew what to do with his free time. But just in case, Bob Hutzel, a deserving member of the Blount County Sports Hall of Fame. Football and Jack Lane were made for each other, and for 5 years in the early 1960s, Jack Lane put Lanier High football on the map. Lane began his illustrious high school football career in the 8th grade. He scored a touchdown the first time he touched the ball. The opponent was Alcoa. Lane was a starting defensive back his freshman year and also shared single-wing tailback duties. As a sophomore, he was the 4th leading scorer in the state with 127 points. His next 2 seasons made him known throughout the South. He was being recruited by 30 universities. In 1963, he was the state's leading scorer with 159 points. In one game that season, Jack Lane carried 10 times for 150 yards, completed 3 of 4 passes, and scored 5 touchdowns. Coach Magazine named him to the high school All-America team. His senior year, although missing the start of the season, team captain Jack Lane again won the state scoring title with 149 points, edging future Hall of Famer Benny Dalton of Walland by 9 points. Lanier in 1964 was undefeated and beat Linview High of Kingsport in a bowl game. Lane was named to the All-County team and was the Little Five Conference most valuable player those last 3 years. And numerous times during his career, he scored 5 touchdowns a game. Lane scored 471 points during his high school career. Newspaper headlines tell the story of Jack Lane's football career, which ended prematurely in 1965 when he was injured in an automobile accident. Jack Lane was named to the Blount County All-Quarter Century team. Jack Lane, a deserving member of the Blount County Sports Hall of Fame. Glenn Morton has been describing Blount County high school football and basketball games to radio audiences for more than 3 decades. In the fall of 1972, Glenn Morton began doing play-by-play of Blount County high school football, and he's been doing it ever since. The alumnus of Maryville High, Tennessee Tech, and the University of Tennessee began his radio career in 1970, 2 years after a traffic accident almost took his life. Through the years, he was WGAP's News and Sports Director, and because of his effort, the station won dozens of Associated Press awards. In the summer of 2003, he joined the staff of WKZX 93.5 FM. The high moment of his career came in 1992 when Morton was named the Associated Press Broadcaster of the Year. The award was based on his news and sports reporting, plus his involvement in many community service agencies and fundraising events. He also is a church choir director. Morton says one of his most memorable nights was in 1977 when he broadcast 2 state championship football games from Alcoa High. The Tornadoes beat Lake County for the Class A title, and Milan beat Maryville for the AA championship. Listen to him in 1982.
Here's Walker, quarterback, Hedrick, quarterback sneak, or quarterback draw they call it now to make it sound more sophisticated. And he picks up 4 down to the 16-yard line, so it is another Maryville first down. First down and 10 for the Rebels at the Heritage 16-yard line. Good call that time. Spence back for the first, this is the first game he's played. He was injured earlier, and he's split out to the left side. Now Long moves into the slot to the left side. And here comes Long in motion to the near side. Here's Walker rolling back to throw. Looks, has time, pumps once, throws down into the end zone, has Spence open. It is going to be intercepted into the end zone. Intercepted by Kevin Campbell, the defensive back, in the end zone to thwart a middle drive, and they'll bring it out to the 20-yard line. That pass maybe shouldn't have been thrown, Pat Moyer, because
Glenn Morton, who has called the names of thousands of Blount County athletes, is a deserving member of the Blount County Sports Hall of Fame. Elmer Myers lettered in football, basketball, and baseball at Townsend High, where he graduated in 1927, and he tried his hand at boxing. After 1 year at Berea College, where he played baseball, Myers pitched for the Knoxville Smokies of the South Atlantic League. He won 26 games one season and 23 the next. As a kid, Myers learned to hunt and fly fish in the mountains of Blount County. He traveled throughout the southeastern United States, camping, hunting, and fishing. Myers played and coached the DeArmond Grocery baseball team and umpired in the community leagues of Blount County. With the advent of Little League Baseball, Myers coached the teams of both the Maryville and Eagleton Little Leagues, and he helped establish the Eagleton Babe Ruth and Blount County Connie Mack Leagues, and served as president of both. The Eagleton Connie Mack League had teams from Townsend, Rockford, Greenback, Friendsville, Tellico Plains, Madisonville, and McMinn County. Myers took Blount County's first racially integrated Babe Ruth and Connie Mack teams to the state tournaments. Myers helped transform the swamp and limestone field at Eagleton into a ballpark with lights and fences. Myers passed his love of sports on to his children and grandchildren, who played high school and college sports. Elmer Myers, a deserving member of the Blount County Sports Hall of Fame. The name Bill Sennett is synonymous with athletic and academic excellence. Transferring to Alcoa High from New Kensington, Pennsylvania in the fall of 1948, Sennett quickly established himself as an outstanding athlete. He was the county's most outstanding basketball player, leading Alcoa to an undefeated regular season. At McCauley Military School, it was the same story. Sennett was football captain, all Mid-South in basketball, and McCauley's leading hitter in baseball. Next, Bill Sennett accepted a scholarship to Georgia Tech, where he also played basketball and was the basketball co-captain his senior year. In football, Sennett played on the 1952, 53, 54 teams that won 29 games, including 2 Sugar Bowls and 1 Cotton Bowl. In Sennett's sophomore year, Tech went 12-0 and won a national championship. In 1954, his senior year, Sennett was a starting offensive end and was named to the All-Southeastern Conference Scholastic Team. In 1955, after graduation, Sennett received a contract from the Baltimore Colts, but elected to pursue a career as an Air Force pilot. In the years that followed, Sennett flew in Vietnam, coached a service football team, and helped retrofit helicopters with advanced weaponry. Bill Sennett, a deserving member of the Blount County Sports Hall of Fame. For more than 4 decades, J. Fred Centel was known to his students as Prof or Coach. After he was named principal of Townsend High in 1940, his first challenge was to keep students in school, and he did it with a mountain crafts course which they loved. Centel coached boys and girls basketball. He taught them how to win, and he taught good sportsmanship. During a 4-year span in the 1940s, Centel's Townsend girls basketball teams won 94 games and lost only 8. In 1950, the Tigerettes won the district championship. Later that year, Centel became principal of Friendsville High. He coached Friendsville's girls basketball, and he introduced football to Friendsville High and played a key role in building the school's football field. Centel helped establish city government in Friendsville and served as its first mayor from 1953 to 1955. Throughout his life, and especially in retirement, Fred Centel was an avid fisherman and hunter. J. Fred Centel, a deserving member of the Blount County Sports Hall of Fame. Lynn Sexton starred in basketball and baseball at tiny Friendsville Academy. He was the Academy's leading scorer his senior year, and he led the Quakers to a pair of victories over Maryville. Sexton was Friendsville Academy's 1951 salutatorian. At Maryville College, Sexton played basketball and baseball 4 years, and football his junior and senior years. He was baseball captain and earned 7 varsity letters, and was the president of the M Club. After a 2-year Army hitch, Sexton began his teaching and coaching career. At Farragut, he coached the boys' teams to 14 seasons of 22 or more wins. The 1983 Admirals had a 29-0 regular season record, and extended that to 36-0 before losing in the quarterfinals of the state tournament. It was a special season. Sexton retired from coaching in 1991 after 30 years and 544 victories. In 2002, Farragut High named its gymnasium for Lynn Sexton. Lynn Sexton, a deserving member of the Blount County Sports Hall of Fame. Al McCry is one of those versatile athletes who picked up a second sport as an adult. Fry was a 3-time All-County basketball player at Friendsville High in the late 1950s. She played as a freshman and starred the next 3 years. Her sophomore year, Cry consistently was Friendsville's leading scorer. As a junior, she scored 41 of Friendsville's 53 points in the Blount County Championship game, beating Greenback 53-42. In her senior year, 1959-60, Cry averaged 32 points per game. She set a Blount County single-game scoring record of 61 points against Friendsville Academy, and she was voted Friendsville High's most athletic senior in 1960. After graduation, Cry played for the Friendsville alumni team and played in the recreation leagues for 2 decades. In 1977, Cry picked up a tennis racket and immediately won a novice tournament in Blount County. Bitten by the tennis bug, Al McCry through the years won numerous tournaments in Blount County and Knox County. She was a champion of tournaments sponsored by the Dogwood Arts Festival, the Parks and Recreation Commission, the Knoxville News Sentinel, and the Greater Knoxville Tennis Association. Al McCry Sweeney, a deserving member of the Blount County Sports Hall of Fame. In the mid-1930s, Mamie Rogers was leading Friendsville High to girls basketball glory. But because in those days newspapers paid little attention to girls basketball, few pictures are available, and fire in 1935 destroyed Friendsville High records. But Friendsville High historian George Henry recalls her exploits. Mamie entered Friendsville High in 1932. Coach Joe L. Marshall didn't let her play much until tournament time, but when Mamie got her chance, she played so brilliantly that she was named to the all-tournament team. The Washington Post, in a feature on Mamie Rogers, called her the South's best girl player. Mamie played brilliantly as a junior and senior, and in 1934-35, her senior year, Mamie scored 468 points. She averaged 31 points per game. In one game, she scored 49. In a foul shooting contest at the University of Tennessee, she made 47 straight. In the district tournament, she scored 20 points in the first game, 37 in the next. Friendsville High won the district championship, beating Carter High 43-35, and Mamie was named to the all-tournament team. Mamie Rogers West, a deserving member of the Blount County Sports Hall of Fame. Those who knew him at a very young age knew that Mike White was destined to become an outstanding athlete and coach, and he lived up to expectations. At Everett High, White earned 11 letters in football, baseball, and basketball. He was a 3-year starter in baseball and football, and a 2-year basketball starter. White played shortstop on the baseball team and quarterback, defensive back, and tailback on the football team, and also was the punter and kicker. He was twice All-County and made the All-East Tennessee team as a senior. He was twice All-County and All-Region in basketball, and he averaged 17 points as a senior. In 1960, White received a scholarship to play football and baseball at Ouachita Baptist University. White transferred to Maryville College and played on teams that won 15 games and lost only 2 in 1963 and 1964. In one game, White made a record 13 consecutive tackles, and he received honorable mention on the Associated Press All-America team. Mike White turned quickly to coaching, first with the midget Maryville Bears, then Townsend High baseball, and he built a strong resume as a football assistant and baseball coach at Everett High, head coach at Unicoi County High in Irwin, and on the staff at East Tennessee State University. Ultimately, Mike White returned home to Blount County, where he was William Blount's head football coach and the governor's baseball coach. White coached his 2 sons, Mike and Nick, and he was elected to the Blount County Commission. White returned to his alma mater, Maryville College, as a football assistant in the late 1990s. And in his spare time, Mike White enjoyed golf. Mike White, a deserving member of the Blount County Sports Hall of Fame.
It's a shock and it's a surprise, and I'm really, since I didn't play sports of any kind when I was growing up, I kind of feel out of place on one hand, but on the other hand, it's really quite an honor to be inducted into the Blount County Sports Hall of Fame, especially with those who are being inducted along with me tonight, several who I know personally, and it's just a real honor.
My papa would be very honored and very humble to receive this award. He was a good-natured man. He didn't talk much about himself. I think more or less he let his actions do the talking, and I would say that when he found out about it, his grin would be from ear to ear.
We've had such rich heritage here in Blount County of a lot of great athletes, and I'm just honored to be a part of this elite group.
No. I mean, I was on the steering committee that set up the Hall of Fame and had been involved with the Hall of Fame Board of Directors as an ex officio member, but never did I dream that I would be in this position.
No, because I don't think he ever visualized anything as momentous as the Blount County Sports Hall of Fame. I think it's a wonderful idea. When they won the state tournament in baseball in Dyersburg, you know, I think maybe that might have been the greatest moment in his life. I don't think he ever envisioned anything like this, but I know that he would have been glad to be a part of it and to be a contributor. He would be definitely for it. Anything for sports or young people in Blount County, he was definitely behind.
Well, I've never thought much about it until the last year or two, and then, of course, you know, I was hoping that they'd see fit to elect me into it, and they did, and I'm grateful.
I guess it's taught me a lot about human nature. It's taught me humility in some regards, and it's taught me that you know, you're not really guaranteed tomorrow, and so you need to discipline yourself today, much like athletes do as they prepare for a big game or a race or whatever they're involved in. And it's just taught me a lot about respecting and loving my fellow man.
I've often heard it said that sports during the Great Depression helped many people out because it was a form of escape. Sports taught him how to deal with things in life. You know, you never quit, you never gave up. You played as hard as you can for as long as you could, and then when it was over with, you said, I did the best I can and that's all I can do. I think that's what it taught him. It also taught him that you know, in sports, nothing's a certainty. On any given night or any given afternoon, anything can happen. And you practice and you scout and you put the best people on the field at the right positions, and then, you know, just hope for the best. And he always used to say, I'd rather be lucky as good anytime.
It's taught me a lot about facing adversity. You know, if you stay in it long enough, there's a lot of hills and there's a lot of valleys. And the important thing is, you know, when you get knocked down, is to get up and keep working. And of course, I've tried to always instill that in my players, and I've had a bunch that, you know, they just wouldn't stay down, and they'd work very hard to get back up and get on top.
I was driving to Birmingham in the summer of 1997 and had tried to interest some other institutions, which I won't name, but interest them in supporting this concept, this idea. And frankly, didn't get enough response to move on it. So I'm driving along with my wife en route to Birmingham, and I said, when I get back to Maryville, I'm going to appoint a 5-member committee, and we're going to do this thing without any institutional support. Fortunately, very quickly, Blount Memorial Hospital joined us, came on board, and then 2-3 years later, Pro Media began doing our video profiles on the inductees, and we've had tremendous support from businesses in the community who have bought sponsor tables for each of the banquets. So it's grown in almost Malthusian progression over the past 7 years. Well, it's grown in terms of public awareness. We formed an alliance with the Blount County Public Library. Our exhibit is there. We have 2 big display cases that are under lock. We have a huge plaque up there with the names of all of the inductees. And we've made it available to the public so that they can come in there and experience what Blount County, the history of Blount County sports really is. And that's what this thing is all about, Ralph. Blount County is rich in football, basketball, baseball tradition, other sports. We've got an All-America swimmer that lives in here, and we need to get that person into the Hall of Fame. But through these individuals who, in their own right, were extraordinary athletes or coaches or supporters of athletics, we have been able to build sort of a giant mosaic about what Blount County sports historically was about. And we have a very rich tradition here. And every year when the board of directors meets to induct new people, I get re-energized because I go down that list and I see these 10 or 12 people that we're going to induct that next November, and I get excited because it's just like James Blair, who I didn't know anything about, but he had played at Hall High School back here in the late 40s and 50s, got a 4-year scholarship to Florida A&M in basketball, played down there, then became a career military man, rose to the rank of lieutenant colonel in Vietnam, and he just had a rich football and basketball experience in his life and played all over the world. And it's uncovering stories like that really make this thing annually very exciting. The thing we're trying to get across to the public, Ralph, is that this Blount County Sports Hall of Fame doesn't just belong to the 10 members on this board of directors. It belongs to the people of Blount County, and we take applications or nominations, as it were, from members of the public year-round. Anybody that thinks of an athlete or a former coach or somebody who has been heavily involved in athletics in Blount County ought to be in the Hall of Fame, they can call the Parks and Recreation office, go by and pick up a nomination form, fill it out, give us a lot of background on that person, and those people will be considered. We have a list of about 300 nominated candidates right now, and it grows every year.
Well, I hope you enjoyed the 2003 Blount County Sports Hall of Fame induction ceremony as much as Gayle and I enjoyed bringing it to you. And Gayle, I was really impressed with the evening. How about you?
I was. It wasn't just about sports. I think one of the things that struck me the most was that this is just a generation of people that possessed so much integrity and just wholesomeness about them that we just don't have today. And I think it's important to honor that and remember that.
I agree 100%. You know, most of the inductees were older people.
Right.
And we don't mean that in a negative manner. It's just that they've been the people who have contributed the most over the years. There were 3 that are deceased. And I agree, the flavor that we got in their acceptance speeches was not one of sports accomplishments. It was one of life's accomplishments. It was one of their families, how much their families meant to them. It was one about the kids that they've influenced, either as teachers or coaches. And I think really that's the message that we tried to get across tonight, was that this was more than just a sports banquet. This was a banquet on people who had contributed well beyond what they did in sports.
Oh, I agree. And it was just so special to be there and be a part of that. You know, sitting amongst the family members and just watching the people go up to get their awards. It was really special.
Well, I hope you enjoyed the interviews that we did with some of the inductees, as well as the special interview we had with Congressman John Duncan. That was a real find, thanks to Gayle, who was able to track him down in the hallway and get him to agree to interview with us. We hope you enjoyed the clips from the video, which kind of gave you the feel for what these people accomplished on the sports playing fields. And we hope you enjoyed the footage of their actual acceptance speeches. We tried to bring you the actual flavor of this event as if you'd have been sitting there like we were tonight. Gayle, I certainly appreciate you joining us tonight.
You know, thank you for inviting me. Sports is not necessarily my thing, but I do have a great appreciation and respect for athletes. So it was really nice for me to get to come and do something that's not necessarily something I would ordinarily be attending. So I really had a good time.
And to get her to come, I had to agree to do something that I wouldn't have ordinarily agreed to do. So you'll probably see me at a play or some sort of a drama event.
Yeah, ballet or something like that. We'll find something.
We'll work it out, believe me. Hey, we're glad you joined us for the 2003 Blount County Sports Hall of Fame induction ceremony. We appreciate you being with us. We hope you enjoyed it. And hey, look for Gayle and I again in the future on Charter Main Street, Channel 28. Have a good night.